going to be talking about my February reading plans. I'm not a person who usually does monthly TBR videos telling you what I'm planning on reading. I have done some in the past. I've done some seasonal ones. I've done some annual, what I want to read this year. But in 2023, I do want to do these a little bit more frequently, especially so that I can tell you about news for what is going on in the month. In case you don't know, I do host a bi-monthly 24-hour read-a-thon that is called the 24-Hour Horror-A-Thon. And in February, we're going to be having round 4. I also recently launched a channel membership, and I have a membership book club where we read a book together every single month. So I thought it'd be good to have some kind of moment to sit down and remind you about what is going on this month. So let's start there. First off, the 24-Hour Horror-A-Thon is coming back in February. The read-a-thon is going to be taking place from February 24th at 8 p.m. Eastern to February 25th at 8 p.m. Eastern. As I mentioned, this is a bi-monthly read-a-thon that I host where we read horror books together, we talk about the books, and we end up closing the read-a-thon with a watch-along. This month, the buddy read is going to be The Venue by T.J. Payne. This is a horror novel that has something to do with a wedding, so I thought it would be a really fun pick for February with Valentine's Day and just doing a little bit of a romantic kind of horror thing. I don't know how romantic it's going to be, but it's at a wedding, so it felt like a good pick. The description for this one reads, "You're invited to Caleb Hunt's wedding. Sure, you haven't spoken since you two had a falling out in high school, but Caleb has gotten over that. He's a forgiving person. It was all a misunderstanding. He credits you with turning him into the man he is today. He wants to repay you and everyone else from his life with an invitation to his destination wedding, an all-expense-paid trip to a luxurious resort, high up in the Alps, secluded and private. Please RSVP. It's sure to be a killer party." This book is also available on Kindle Unlimited, so hopefully it is an easy one for people to access. And if you're unfamiliar with how the read-a-thon works, I will be kicking off live reading sprints when the read-a-thon begins on Friday night at 8 p.m. Eastern, where I will be reading the book, and I usually just do the reading sprints until I finish the buddy read. We also have a Discord where everybody chats about what they're reading, we chat about the buddy read. All of that information is going to be linked down below, and there's also an Instagram account for the read-a-thon that you can follow for updates on the read-a-thon, as well as updates coming along in the Discord. And then on Saturday night, when the read-a-thon comes to a close at 8 p.m. Eastern, we will be starting the movie watch together, which we chat about in the Discord. You have to have a way to stream the movie yourself, and we just count down and we all press play at the same time and chat about the movie while we're watching it in the Discord. And the movie watch for this round is also in the wedding romance kind of theme, and that is going to be The Invitation, which is a newer movie that is available on Netflix. I've actually already watched this movie and I thought it was really fun. I saw it in theaters when it first came out, so I think it'll be a fun one for the buddy watch. In this movie, you're following Evie, who has lost her mother and feels like she is missing that family connection. She ends up taking a DNA test and finding out that she has a long-lost cousin that she never knew she had. They connect, and that cousin invites her to come back with him to the English countryside for a lavish family wedding, and then she is thrust into a nightmare of survival as she uncovers twisted secrets about her family history and the unsettling intentions behind their sinful generosity. These read-a-thons are truly so fun, and I look forward to them every time they're coming around, so if you haven't gotten a chance to participate yet, definitely check out those details below, join the Discord, mark your calendars for the read-a-thon, and I hope you join and have a really fun time with us all. The other thing going on in February is my members-only book club, where we will be reading Patricia Wants to Cuddle by Samantha Allen together. If you're unfamiliar with my channel membership, I do have a video where I announced it and talked about all the details, so you can check out that video for extensive details. But the long and short of it is I have 2 different tiers for my membership, and if you are a member of the highest tier, which is the fan tier, that is $5.99 a month, then you automatically gain access to the members only book club. We're going to be reading this book together this month, and then at the end of the month we're going to have a discussion where we talk about the book all together. We also do have a new Discord channel which I just created for all members, no matter which tier you're in, that you can join. In case you're a member and you missed that, I just launched it the other day, and the way it works is you just have to integrate your Discord with your YouTube account, and if you are a member, it will automatically integrate and you will gain access to the private Discord server. I posted the directions in my community tab, so all of the directions are there for how you can get involved in that, or if you're a new member just joining, you can also follow those directions to make sure you get in on the Discord as well. But for this book, I'm super excited to finally check it out and see what it's all about. I've heard really weird mixed reviews about it. It has something to do with a reality TV show. It is a queer book. It is some kind of horror book. Is there a Sasquatch? I don't really know what's going to go on in this book, but I thought it would be a really fun one to read together together and discuss. So now going on into the rest of my reading plans for February, I have a ton of arcs that I'm planning on reading in February. It's going to be a very arc heavy month for me. In case you're unfamiliar, arcs are advanced reader copies, and I went on a little bit of a NetGalley spree, which is a platform where you can request access to these books. I have an on-again, off-again relationship with it. I really thought that I was not going to be doing much of this year, but I got really just like interested in a lot of new releases at the beginning of the year, and I requested a ton, and then I ended up getting a ton, and now I have to get through reading them. I really like to try to read my arcs the month before they come out. So if a book is coming out March, I want to read it in February so I can talk about it in my February wrap up and get it ahead of you guys' radar if you're looking for books to pick up in the next month. So I'm trying to catch up a little bit on that by reading all of my February arcs and all of my March arcs in February. So we have a lot. The first one is Where Darkness Blooms by Andrea Hanna, which is a YA horror book with some fantasy elements as well. It says it is a supernatural thriller about an eerie town where the sunflowers whisper secrets and the land hungers for blood. Bishop has always been a strange town, but what the girls don't know is that Bishop was founded on blood and now it craves theirs. I've never read from this author before, but I'm always intrigued in a YA horror book, especially ones that look like this with the cover. Those always just pull me in, and this one is coming out on February 21st, so I'm hoping to get to it very soon. Next is this book called Scorched Grace, which I believe is actually coming from Gillian Flynn's new imprint. Gillian Flynn is the author of Gone Girl and Dark Places and Sharp Objects, and we need another book from her, but we can't get one yet, so this is going to be second best. It's a book she is endorsing and I guess helped bring to publication. This one follows Sister Holiday, a chain-smoking, heavily tattooed queer nun at St. Sebastian's School, which becomes the target of a shocking arson spree. Sister Holiday is more faithful than most, but she's no saint. To piece together the clues of this high-stakes mystery, she must first reckon with the sins of her checkered past, and neither task will be easy. This is said to be in the hard-boiled crime genre, which isn't always my thing, but it sounded interesting. I had some people put it on my radar as well. The cover looks great. Sounds like a really fun character to follow, so hopefully it's a good one. Next is Murder Your Employer, The McMaster's Guide to Homicide by Rupert Holmes. This is a mystery thriller that is coming out on February 21st, and it just sounds so fun. This author, Rupert Holmes, is apparently an Edgar Award-winning novelist, playwright, and story songwriter, so it sounds like he has a really interesting background. This is said to be a devilish thriller with a killer concept. The McMaster's Conservatory for the Applied Arts, a luxurious clandestine college dedicated to the fine art of murder, where earnest students study how best to delete their most deserving victim. Next is a book I was so excited to get access to, and that is The Angel Maker by Alex North. I've really enjoyed the past two books that I've read from Alex North, The Whisper Man and The Shadows, so I'm very excited for a third book from them. This one is coming out on February 28th, and it is said to be a dark, suspenseful new thriller about the mysteries of fate, the unbreakable bond of siblings, and a notorious serial killer who was said to know the future. This kind of sounds like a show I literally just finished watching, The Devil's Hour, which is on Amazon, and it was so good, and I'm really looking for something more like that. And this sounds like it'll be right up that alley too. That was like a English murder mystery, psychological thriller, a little bit of supernatural sci-fi speculative in it as well, and that sounds like this is going to have all of those elements too. It says, growing up in a beautiful house in the English countryside, Katie Shaw lived a charmed life. At the cusp of graduation, she had big dreams, a devoted boyfriend, and a little brother she protected fiercely, until the day a violent stranger changed the fate of her family forever. Years later, still unable to live down the guilt surrounding what happened to her brother Chris, and now with a child of her own to protect, Katie struggles to separate the real threats from the imagined. Then she gets the phone call. Chris has gone missing and needs his big sister once more. I have been so eager for a new book from this author, so I really hope it lives up to all of my expectations. Next up is Piñata by Leopoldo Gaut, which comes out on March 14th. This one is most intriguing to me because of the comp titles for it, which are A Head Full of Ghosts and Hereditary. One of my favorite books, one of my favorite movies. I just feel like this is bound to be a 5-star for me. In this story, you're following Carmen Sanchez, who is back in her home country of Mexico, overseeing the renovation of an ancient cathedral into a boutique hotel. Her teen daughters are with her for the summer and left to fill their afternoons unsupervised in a foreign city. After a disastrous accident at the construction site nearly injures one of her children, Carmen's had enough, they're leaving. Back in New York, that daughter begins acting strange, and only the other daughter notices the chilling changes happening to her younger sister. But it might be too late for the Sanchez family to escape what's been awakened. Piñata is a bone-chilling story about how the sinister repercussions of our past can return to haunt us. Next is What Happened to Ruthie Ramirez by Claire Jimenez, which comes out on March 7th. This one sounds like it's more of a general fiction story with a mystery element to it, but it sounds like a really moving story. This is a debut novel that is said to be equal measures hilarious and haunting, about a Puerto Rican family in Staten Island who discovers their long-missing sister is potentially alive and cast on a reality TV show, and they set out to bring her home. What Happened to Ruthie Ramirez is a vivid family portrait in all its shattered reality, exploring the familial bonds between women and cycles of generational violence, colonialism, race, and silence, replete with snark, resentment, tenderness, and of course, love. This just sounds like it's going to be so good. Next up is one I'm a little bit cautiously optimistic about, which is What Have We Done by Alex Finlay, which is coming out on March 7th. I have not personally read from Alex Finlay before. I have heard a lot of mixed things regarding their books, and I've been just kind of like curiously sitting back, wondering if I was going to be interested in picking up their stuff. But I got an arc of this one, so I figured it would be a good one to try out and just see if it's an author I'm interested in reading more from. In this one, we have a stay-at-home mom with a past, a has-been rock star with a habit, a reality TV producer with debt, 3 disparate lives, 1 deadly secret. I do tend to like mystery thrillers where you have these different storylines going on and then they all come together and there's secrets and dark pasts and things coming out. So I guess we'll see if I end up enjoying this one. Another book I'm really trying to get to in February because I'm very excited about it is Unnatural Ends by Christopher Wong. On Goodreads, this one says it's coming out on May 23rd, but I feel like I keep seeing different dates for this book every time I look at it, so I want to just go ahead and read it because it sounds like something I'm really going to enjoy. This is a historical fiction where Sir Lawrence Linwood is murdered with a medieval mace, and after his murder, his 3 adopted children all come home to claim their inheritance, but his heirs soon find that his last testament contains a strange proviso that his estate shall go to the heir who solves his murder. Strained family relationships, inheritance, murder mystery, locked room. It's gonna be a great time. And the last arc that I'm hoping to get to in February is Not So Perfect Strangers by L.S. Stratton, which is coming out on March 28th. This is a tense domestic thriller which takes a modern spin on Alfred Hitchcock's Strangers on a Train and flips the script on race and gender politics. If you're familiar with Strangers on a Train, the concept is that these 2 strangers meet up and agree to commit murders for the other one so that it can't be traced to them. In this one, you're following 2 women, Tasha and Madison, who have very different everyday realities, but what they have in common is marriages that they need out of. The 2 women want to help each other, but they have very different ideas of what that means. Outside of all of those arcs, I do also want to get through some of the books on my physical TBR if I can, so I'm planning on trying to pair audiobooks with them because I don't have audiobooks of arcs because they're not out yet, so I figured I can listen to some audiobooks of some books on my shelves and read some arcs as ebooks to kind of mix it up throughout the month. And the 2 books that I most want to get through out of my physical TBR are Our Wives Under the Sea by Julia Armfield and A History of Fear by Luc Dumas. These 2 books have just been sitting staring at me. I want to read them so bad. I feel like they are 5-star predictions for me. I really want to get to them this month if I have time. A History of Fear is an eerie literary suspense debut tracing the harrowing downfall of a tortured graduate student who's been nicknamed the Devil's Advocate for his sensational crime, murdering a classmate and then claiming the devil made him do it. A History of Fear is a propulsive foray into the darkness of the human psyche, marrying dread-inducing atmosphere and heart-palpitating storytelling, which just sounds so good. And then Our Wives Under the Sea, I know this was a popular one last year that a lot of people really enjoyed. It's a debut novel about falling in love, loss, grief, and what life there is in the deep sea. It has something to do with these women who are married, and one of them goes in a submarine or something under the water and then doesn't come back the same. I'm not really sure, but it's really short and it sounds really beautiful, so I don't want to know too much about it. I just want to go in and have a really good time. So that is it for all the books that I plan on reading in February. I hope that I can get through all of these, maybe even more. That would always be a great time too. Don't forget to check out the details down below if you want to join the 24-hour horror-a-thon, which is going to be happening at the end of February, or if you want to join my membership to be a part of the members book club, which we will also be discussing at the end of the month. Also, it'd be great if you could let me know down in the comments below which of these books you're most excited to hear me talk about, because I am planning on doing 1 or 2 vlogs dedicated dedicated to reading a couple of arcs, so it'd be great to know out of everything I talked about today, which ones are standing out most on your radar, which ones would you most like to see in a vlog, and then I can package them together as I'm trying to read through all of these. But that is it for me. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all in my next video. Bye!